Enroll now at Australia's Sydney Met and win a scholarship of up to $15,000. Apply today.
Tonight on First at 9, this Wednesday, the 10th of April 2024. President's gratitude. 294 houses handed over to those displaced by the 2010 Kajimawatha fire. President Ranil Wickremesinghe, during a ceremony, acknowledges the sacrifice of the Sri Lankan people over the past 2 years. Transshipment services. Hambantota International Port welcomes first transshipment consignment as it explores new revenue avenues. Weather update. Met Department announces heavy rainfall to several parts of Sri Lanka. And People's Franchise. Elections Commission opens voter list for 2024 electoral roll for public viewing and revisions.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දිනූ සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
This is Ada Derana First at 9 with Indivari Amuata and Mahesh Jani. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A very good evening, everyone. Welcome to First at 9. Good to see you, and thank you very much for joining us tonight as well. Good evening, Indivari. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you, Mahesh. Good evening. A very warm welcome to all of you joining us tonight on First at 9. We have some developments, of course, from...
before that, I wanted to say, apparently, it is Wednesday, but it feels like a Friday, right? It has Friday energy.
Like, yes. I think we've entered the holiday season, the season of festivities, which does not give us the work week feeling anymore.
Exactly.
So I suppose this will prevail until the 20th.
Yeah, it looks like all the nakats and everything says that apparently you have to be out of work.
But you know what? We have a story coming up on the nakat controversy, but that will be aired tomorrow. One of our reporters are working on it. It's really interesting that the auspicious times are now debated, and there is much argument about these very auspicious times decided and declared by astrologers.
Exactly. So, I mean, I don't believe in them, but apparently most of the people do, and it is a custom that they keep hold on to. But what's more interesting to see is like, why is the confusion here? What actually led to the confusion?
The nakat makers are divided this time.
All right, a lot of stories to bring to you tonight. Apparently, there is some good news coming out from the Hambantota International Port. New ship services have been not resumption per se. They started providing those services. It is actually a good omen because of the simple fact that not just the Colombo port, now the Hambantota port is also getting some kind of traction.
So it has pivoted into a different business model, or
exactly.
New revenues. So this is good. We've been talking about it being a white elephant.
Yeah.
But
now something is happening there. So a lot more stories to bring to you tonight, but let's begin with the gratitude of our nation's leader. Well, President Ranil Wickremesinghe expressed gratitude to the people of Sri Lanka for the trust placed in him over the tumultuous time of the past few years.
He made the statement after he declared open the Randia Uyana housing complex in Modara. As many as 294 units at Randia Uyana housing complex were allocated to those displaced by the fire in Kajimawatha in year 2010.
Now, Minister of Tourism and Lands, Harin Fernando, who joined the President at the occasion, echoed these thoughts and urged the people to consider who actually served the nation during these difficult times.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe yesterday declared open the Randia Uyana housing complex in Modara. The complex comprises 294 units, all of which have been allocated to the homeowners displaced by the massive fire in Kajimawatha in 2010. Minister of Tourism and Lands Harin Fernando joined the President at the inauguration ceremony. President Wickremesinghe also addressed the gathering.
Go into any city in the country and see for yourself. People are full of hope ahead of the New Year celebration. This is what accepting a challenge looks like. If anyone wants to debate, we can debate on why no one else accepted this challenge. Then the people will get to see who it was that actually supported the country. All the other leaders are making plans to secure power. None of them care about the country's well-being.
Please protect these homes that you received today. They no longer belong to the government. They belong to you now. Don't mortgage or sell them either. Protect them like you do your own life. Today, all of us are living relatively comfortable lives. That was not the case 2-3 years ago. There was no fuel, no food, and hospitals and schools were closed. But you endured those hardships. I'm thankful to all of you for that. When I accepted the responsibility of leading the country, I knew that harsh measures would have to be implemented, but you endured them as well. That is because you trusted us. I thank you for that trust.
New Dulux Pentolite Hygiene Plus. Refreshing walls for generations.
Well, the Muslim community across the country celebrated the holy festival of Ramadan or Eid al-Fitr today, marking the end of 30 days of fasting.
Now, the earmarking of today for the festival was announced by the Colombo Grand Mosque yesterday following the sighting of the crescent moon.
Meanwhile, in his Eid message today, President Ranil Wickremesinghe commended the Muslim community for adhering to their religious obligations, fasting piously and offering prayers for the well-being of both themselves and the society at large.
Sri Lanka's Muslim community celebrated the holy festival of Ramadan today, marking the end of the 30-day period of fasting, prayer and reflection. During this period, Muslims are required to fast food and drink to empathize with the plight of the poor and those in suffering, to give charitably and express kindness and patience. The holy festival is celebrated on the first day of Shawwal, the 9th moon of the Islamic lunar calendar. However, the date and the time of the festival varies depending on the sighting of the crescent moon. This year, the period of fasting commenced on the 11th of March and ended today following the official sighting of the crescent moon, which is traditionally announced by the Colombo Grand Mosque, who announced today as the day of the festival. As such, Muslims across the island celebrated Ramadan today, paying homage to their customs. All the while, a special security arrangement was in place in mosques across the island where religious services were held. With that, President Ranil Wickremesinghe issued his customary Eid greetings to the Muslim community of the country. In his message, the President commended the devotion of the Muslims to steadfastly adhering to their religious obligations, fasting piously, and offering prayers for the well-being of both themselves and society at large. He further added that as the Sri Lankan Islamic community observes Ramadan this year, it coincides with a period of burgeoning progress and encouragement within the nation. Concurrently, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena also extended his greetings, adding that the Islamic people have been devotedly practicing their religious rites and rituals during the period, helping others and giving exemplary meaning to the cultural and religious diversity of the country. The Premier expressed gratitude for the active contribution of the Sri Lankan Muslim community towards the country's governance process, business sector, education, various professional fields and fields of sports and culture. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa stated that this bond of Islamic brotherhood within the local society has long served as an exemplary model to the world and highlighted the need for everyone to stand firm and not allow any extremists' efforts to fracture the fraternity. The leader of the opposition expressed hope that the bonds of this brotherhood will continue to strengthen and witnessed during the time of peaceful struggles. In conclusion, the opposition leader invited everyone to join hands in striving to elevate the nation, collectively working towards achieving greatness on the global stage.
Leader of the opposition, Sajith Premadasa, meanwhile said that those involved in the central bank bond scam were dispelled by them in order to establish good governance in the country. Addressing a gathering, the opposition leader revealed plans to launch a massive development revolution which was never been implemented before.
The 151st edition of the Sakwela program was held at the Arachikattuwa Battulloy Mahavidyalaya in Shillong under the patronage of opposition leader Sajith Premadasa. During the event, the school was donated a smart classroom worth 1 million rupees.
මේ පහුගිය දවසක මට ඇහුණ කතාවක් මහ බැංකුව කුඩු කරපු හාදෙක් කියන
I recently heard one of the people involved in the central bank bond scam accuse us of being fake. Anyone can call us what they like. However, despite the various names or terms used to introduce us, we are also the ones who rid those involved in central bank scam. We are apparent fraudsters who were able to chase those scammers. We chased them and they crashed and subsequently burned. We did so in order to establish good governance. The people of this country are expecting a clean, pure and good governance. We will establish that era for the people of this country. We will establish a plan with a mass development revolution that none of the ones who speak irresponsibly have ever thought of.
ගහන කයිය නායකලා කවදාවත් කරලත් නැහැ කරන්නත් බෑ. කරන්න උත්සාහ කරන්නෙත් නැහැ.
Well, the Attorney General's Department accused former Minister of Health, Kehelia Rambukwala, of filing petition before the court and allegedly violating existing legal procedures.
Now, during the hearing of the writ petition filed by Rambukwala seeking to invalidate the order by the Maligakhanda magistrate to keep him remanded until the conclusion of the case pertaining to the procurement of substandard medicine at the appeal court, Deputy Solicitor General Nirmalan Vigneswaran said that the judiciary should not consider this petition until the hearing of the FR petition is over.
However, President's Counsel Faiz Mustafa, who appeared on behalf of the petitioner, said that legally it was wrong to keep him under remand custody until the conclusion of the trial, as the trial had not even commenced.
Today, at the Maligakhanda Magistrate Court, the bail application filed by the Additional Secretary of the Health Ministry, Dr. Saman Ratnayaka, who is currently held under remand custody, was rejected, and the magistrate ordered him to be remanded until the conclusion of this controversial case.
A writ petition filed by former Minister of Health Kehelia Rambukwala seeking to invalidate the order by the Maligakhanda magistrate to keep him under remand custody until the conclusion of the case pertaining to the procurement of substandard human immunoglobulin medicine was heard yesterday before the appeal court judge D.N. Samarakon. While highlighting that the petitioner had earlier filed a fundamental rights petition before the Supreme Court challenging his arrest by the CID, Deputy Solicitor General Nirmalan Vigneswaran, who presented his preliminary objections, said that the judiciary cannot consider this petition until the hearing of the FR petition is over. The Deputy Solicitor General cited that the fundamental rights petition in this petition was not disclosed in the paperwork, and thereby he claimed that the former health minister has concealed facts from the court. He also pointed out that when the petitioner had the opportunity to file a revision application in response to the order of the magistrate court to reject his bail application, he instead filed a petition before the Supreme Court, violating the existing legal procedures. He said that the former minister's conduct in filing petitions to exploit his human right to file petitions is unacceptable. With the Deputy Solicitor General concluding his objection, the appeal court judge questioned whether he was accusing the judiciary of allegations based on certain comments that were made in the submission. While saying no to the appeal court judge, the Deputy Solicitor General pointed out that he was apparently accusing the petitioner and added that steps need to be taken to prevent him from misusing the judiciary. Speaking further, Deputy Solicitor General Nirmalan Vigneswaran said that, per prison regulations, a suspect under remand custody must sign an affidavit within the confines of prison. Instead of doing so, he pointed out that the former health minister signed an affidavit while in attendance in Parliament, highlighting that he committed a wrongdoing per the prison's ordinance and has misused parliamentary privileges. President's Counsel Faiz Mustafa, who appeared on behalf of the petitioner, said that legally it is wrong to keep him under remand custody until the conclusion of the trial. President's Counsel Mustafa said that under provisions of the Public Property Act, the Attorney General has to file indictments before the High Court. Pointing out the absence of said indictments, he questioned why the petitioner was kept under remand custody until the conclusion of the case. Meanwhile, through an interim petition, President's Counsel Chandaka Jayasundara, who appeared representing the Bar Association upon the instructions of Attorney at Law G.G. Arul Pragasam, claimed that the Bar Association decided to intervene in this case by considering public welfare and added that they accept all the preliminary objections presented by the Attorney General. Taking the facts presented before the court into account, Appeal Court Judge D.N. Samarakon said that the decision pertaining to the consideration of the writ application filed by former Minister of Health Kehelia Rambukwala will be announced on the 30th of this month. Taking the facts presented before the court into account, Appeal Court Judge D.N. Samarakon said that the decision pertaining to the consideration of the writ petition filed by former Minister of Health Ramukwella will be announced on the 30th of this month. Meanwhile, the bail application filed by the Additional Secretary to the Health Ministry, who is currently under remand custody in connection with the case pertaining to the procurement of substandard human immunoglobulin medicines, has been rejected. When Dr. Saman Ratnayaka was produced before the Maligakanda Magistrates Court earlier today, Magistrate Lochani Abevikrama ordered that the accused be further held in remand custody until the conclusion of the hearing.
Now, the Department of Meteorology states that 100 millimeters of rainfall is likely to be expected at certain areas in the western, central, Sabaragamu and southern provinces. According to the weather forecast for tomorrow, showers or thunderstorms are sporadically expected in the eastern and Uva provinces and in the Hambantota district. Meanwhile, heavy showers are expected in the western, central and Sabaragamu provinces and the Gaul and Madra districts. The general public is advised to take adequate safety measures to minimize damages caused by temporarily localized strong winds and lightning during the thunder shower.
The Election Commission has announced that it would be posting its 2024 electoral poll for public viewing for revisions. The A list containing the names removed in year 2023 and the B list containing the new names included in year 2024 will be displayed at all district secretariat election offices, all divisional secretariats, all local authorities and in all Grama Nilidhari offices from the 9th, that was yesterday, to the 6th of May. The Commission also states that anyone who wishes to rectify their non-inclusion or inclusion can approach the district election offices for review.
Human remains were discovered submerged in the waters of the Diulvava reservoir in Anuradhapura yesterday. Police have identified the 45-year-old victim and taken his wife and son into custody in connection with the suspected murder. Now, with that, here's a look at more local news in brief.
Remains of a person were discovered yesterday from the waters of the Diulvava reservoir located in the Hindogama area in Anuradhapura. Police investigations revealed that the remains belong to a 45-year-old man. The man's 39-year-old wife and 24-year-old son were taken into police custody in connection with the incident. Meanwhile, in Aturugiriya, two individuals arriving on a motorcycle launched a petrol bomb at the house of a local businessman located near the Galvarusava road. The homeowner had previously received ransom demands by the underworld figure known by the alias Kaivaru Muthu. Police conjecture that yesterday's attack had been carried out by Kaivaru Muthu's associates as retribution for the businessman's refusal to comply with their demands. In other local news, police apprehended a person transporting a shipment of illegally harvested timber at the Galanigam exit of the Southern Expressway. The suspect's lorry, along with 36 logs of illegal timber, were taken into police custody.
The national organizer of the National People's Power-led Socialist Youth Union, Eranga Gunasekara, says that his party leader, Anura Kumara Disanayaka, is ready to debate the topic of the country's economy with Sajith Premadasa, but claimed that the opposition was desperate to avoid it. However, denying those claims, parliamentarian of the Samagi Janabalavegya, Nalin Bandara, expressed confidence that his leader would participate in the debate, confirming that he did already express his readiness.
When asked by a journalist 2 months ago about his readiness to debate the topic of the country's development and economy with Sajith Premadasa, our party leader Anurukumara Disanayaka extended an open invitation expressing his readiness. After that interview, a journalist questioned Nalin Bandara about this. Everyone, including Nalin, knows what would happen if Sajith Premadasa has to join the debate. They are trying to avoid this and use it as political strategy. We are ready to have this discussion anywhere at any time.
Our leader said that there was no problem. He said that he is ready for the debate. However, Dr. Harini Amarasuriya pointed out that Sajith, Anura and Ranil Wickremesinghe should join this debate as candidates for the presidential election. How do Anura and Harini know that Ranil Wickremesinghe will be nominated the presidential election candidate? I wouldn't be surprised if they say that Dilith Jayawira too needs to participate in this debate because he too might be another presidential election candidate. There is nothing like that. They are trying to show that they have assumed the might of the SJB. This is a strategy of theirs. We are leading the party as frontliners.
We held our last Politburo meeting in this office on December 5th. During that meeting, we decided to put aside our opposing views and adopt suitable decision individually. However, all of them represent an agenda driven by the opposition. We believe that we will design a common agenda and join all them for it.
Well, in business news, the Hambantota International Port commenced a container transshipment service partnering with a Switzerland-based Mediterranean shipping company.
The container vessel MV MSC Ingrid made her maiden call at the Hambantota International Port yesterday, discharging a total of 500 plus 20-foot containers to be connected to a second carrier, MSC Sky 2, which is expected to call at the port of on April 16th.
Now, additional to the new business initiative, the Hambantota Port in a statement said that going forward it plans to implement measures to start direct shipment and transshipment with the Colombo port as well as reducing the land transportation.
According to a statement by the Hambantota International Port, the first shipment of containers arrived at the port yesterday from the Rotterdam port and will reach its final destination, Dubai, via the second carrier. Commenting on the port's new business initiative, the chief representative of China Merchants Group in Sri Lanka and CEO of Hambantota International Port Group, Johnson Liu, said that through the new business, the port is confident in contributing to enhance Sri Lanka's position in the Marine Connectivity Index for the South Asian region. He further said that with MSC's collaborative partnership, the port will now look at expanding investment in equipment and other infrastructure facilities, enabling the servicing of larger vessels on the east-west shipping route. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Ports and Shipping has also given its approval for the connectivity between the Hambantota International Port and the Port of Colombo, enabling direct shipments and transshipments between the two ports, thereby reducing road transportation. The statement, also quoting the Chief Operations Officer of HIPG, Tissa Wickremesinghe, said that the introduction of container services will be a major boost to investors in the port industrial zone.
Earnings from the tourism sector in the country have shown an increase of 103% to $103 billion. I'm sorry, it should be 1.3 billion US dollars in the first quarter of 2024, up from $500 million US dollars a year earlier. Now, the tourism sector, which is witnessing a rapid recovery from a series of crises since 2019, has welcomed 635,784 tourists as at the end of Q1 for this year. Now, in March of this year, Sri Lanka saw a significant rise in arrivals, marking a 66.6% increase compared to March of the previous year, with a total of 209,181 visitors and recorded a total revenue of $338.4 million US dollars. The surge in tourist arrival was observed from India, Russia and the United Kingdom, Germany, along with China. Now, the tourism industry, which is one of the main foreign revenue earning industries of this country, expects to totally recover within the year, surpassing 2019 levels with a projected growth of 2%. By the end of this year, Sri Lanka plans to welcome 2.3 million tourists and achieve an income of over $4 billion US dollars from the sector as a whole.
Taking you to the Colombo Stock Exchange, shares closed higher today, aided by price gains in financial and consumer staple stocks, with the benchmark ASPI crossing the 12,000 level at the end of trading today for the first time since February 2022. Accordingly, the all-share price index climbed 0.59% during the session and closed at 12,033.10, while the more liquid S&P SL20 ended 0.73% higher to close at 3,572.68. Commercial Bank of Ceylon and Hatton National Bank were the top gainers on the index, gaining 1.36% and 1.24% respectively. Equity market turnover remained at 2.9 billion rupees, with the banking sector being its top contributor and diversified financials being the second highest contributor to turnover. Foreign investors closed as net sellers, offloading stocks worth 15.2 million rupees.
Well, here's Dilishka Dimel from Capital Alliance with the economic outlook.
During the week ended the 5th of April 2024, the Sri Lankan rupee continued to appreciate against the US dollar, with $1 at 299.2 rupees on the 5th of April. Given the cross-currency exchange rate movements, the Sri Lankan rupee also appreciated against the pound sterling by 0.4% and the euro by 0.6%. The LKR has been ranked top amongst emerging market currencies in the first quarter of 2024, recording a spot return of 7.77% according to Bloomberg market data. The total outstanding market liquidity was a surplus of 19.2 billion rupees by the 5th of April 2024, compared to a surplus of 5.28 billion rupees by the end of last week. The gross official reserves were provisionally estimated at 4,951 million US dollars at the end of March 2024. The AWPLR for the week decreased by 13 basis points, with the reverse money decreasing compared to the previous week, mainly due to the decrease in deposits held by the commercial bank with the central bank. At the Treasury bill auction held on the 3rd of April, the weighted average yield increased by 4 and 6 basis points respectively for the 3-month and 6-month instrument, with the 12-month Treasury bill rate remaining constant. The total volume of secondary market transactions in the T-bill and T-bond market increased by 19.5% compared to the week prior. Sri Lankan worker remittances through official channels reached a 2-year high, growing by 0.72% to 572.4 million US dollars from 568.3 million US dollars a year ago.
Well, global oil prices rose today after 2 consecutive sessions of losses as supply fears raised by the deadlock in Gaza ceasefire talks outweighed the larger than expected increase in US crude stocks. Brent crude futures rose 70 cents during the session to settle at $90.12 per barrel. US West Texas Intermediate futures meanwhile edged up 69 cents to $85.92 a barrel. US crude inventories rose by 3.03 million barrels last week, far surpassing the expected increase of 2.4 million. However, the extension of the conflict in Gaza, the possibility of Iran intervening on behalf of Hamas, raised fears over possible interruptions to crude supplies. Well, the Sri Lankan rupee closed at 298.50, 298.55 against the US dollar. Let's take a look at how the rupee traded against other major currencies during the day.
Genie Business, the ultimate all-in-one fintech platform for Sri Lankan businesses, was launched by Dialogue Finance plc to revolutionize the landscape for micro, small and medium enterprises in Sri Lanka. The launch event, which was held at the Dialogue Asiata plc head office, was graced by Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe. The Genie Business platform introduces diverse payment acceptance solutions and empowers businesses to leverage the digital era through a range of offerings including tap-to-pay, payment links and internet payment gateway. The Commercial Bank of Ceylon announced that its digital platform CommBank Digital has significantly enhanced mass access by going trilingual, promoting greater inclusivity and even higher usage. The platform's multilingual capability is expected to expedite the adoption of digital banking in rural areas and more traditional customer segments. The bank further announced that CommBank Digital will offer an additional 1% on the interest rates applicable to 300-day and 1-year fixed deposits open on the 14th and 15th April via the platform. In other corporate news, H&B plc recently won 3 awards at the Lanka Pay Technovation Awards 2024, including the Bank of the Year for Excellence in Customer Convenience title. H&B also won the Silver Award for Best Digital Payment Strategy and a Merit Award for Most Popular Digital Payment Product.
That's all the news from us here tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow at the same time. I'm Indiferi Amwatha.
I'm Mahesh Johnny. Enjoy the night. Good night.